Idology is excited to welcome Elise Testone to the house. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to jump right into a question that's probably plagued you on message boards and the internet in general all season. How much Idol had you watched prior to auditioning for the show? And were you aware that people analyze and deconstruct every facial expression, every lifted brow, every smile or not smile, that kind of stuff?
You know, I knew that being on the show would be a sacrifice of, you know, my privacy, my emotions, my feelings, you know, and people would really be digging into those things. And no matter what, they would respect it or they wouldn't. I'd seen an episode or parts of episodes here and there, but my lifestyle was so busy with work that I was never home for it. So I just never got into it, you know, because I was just playing music and kind of like living in that lifestyle. And I've never really watched TV.
I don't understand. I don't even know what that means, but.
Sorry.
Whoa, it's a crazy world we're living in.
I want to talk to you a little bit about some of your early moments on the show. We got very brief glimpses of you. I think the first time we saw you was Virtual Insanity.
Half of us immersed in sin is all we have to give these futures.
I would have loved to see an extended performance of that.
Yeah, I loved that. I actually sang more of it there, but they didn't show it, obviously. But I was considering singing that this week, actually, because it was on the British list. Yeah, so and Canned Heat was too.
Really?
Yeah.
And then we got to see It's a Man's World in Vegas while you were above the bubbling
in the water. That
pools
was so cool.
The water. Those were great performances.
Thank you.
Were you nervous that you weren't getting a lot of screen time? Did you have a vibe of like, maybe I'm not actually going to get through because they're not showing much of me?
I wasn't really nervous that they didn't show the whole clips of Hollywood Week because they showed me more than probably like half the people or more. Yeah. So that made me feel good. They were just giving like enough of it, so it was like a little tease.
You've been on my mind.
Top 25 week, you were put in a one and only off with Jen Hirsch. Both of you guys gravitated toward that song, or was it like, we want to up the drama?
Not outright was anyone trying to make drama. But it is a TV show, so who knows the motives. I had been talking about doing that song for a long time. I mentioned it to her, but then I didn't actually say it. When it came down to it, I didn't say that I chose it, because I just didn't want to jinx it. I just wanted to kind of keep it to myself. And then she had a song chosen, and Nigel, you know, they were like, we're not sure about your song. And then she mentioned she liked that song too, and they said, well, let's hear it, you should do that.
Was it freaky to go into your first live show knowing that you're singing, you know, an hour apart the same song as somebody else?
I wouldn't have chosen that to happen, but I really believed in the song that I chose, and I didn't want to not do it because someone else was going to do it, because everyone interprets music differently, so it's its own song.
God only knows.
It was a really amazing feeling. It was the first time everything hit me. You know, I couldn't wait for that live performance. I was just imagining it for months. I arranged, you know, some extra backup parts that aren't even on the recording, and I had like the backup singers kind of like echo what I was saying to just enforce the lyrics, because I really believed in the lyrics.
To the room of the one who
I loved that I played the piano and got up. I mean, the whole thing was just so perfect in my mind, except for, I am glad I cried, but I also wish I kind of didn't, just because I really wanted to hit the notes better for a first impression. But I think the people who believe in me got that, and that's what's important.
I promise I'm worthy.
Top 13 week, I'm Your Baby Tonight. Obviously, this is a show where some weeks you're going to get a song that you're connecting with and you're excited about, and other weeks you're like, how did I end up with this song? But I kind of liked that performance. I didn't think you were having a problem with the tempo or with the cadence of it. I thought you were sort of taking it sort of a little bit of a lazy, laid-back approach and singing a little bit off the rhythm. But what was that like? Because it seemed like maybe that was a song you sort of got railroaded into a little bit, and then it was like you were criticized for song choice.
Yeah. I originally really wanted to do The Greatest Love of All, because that's one of my favorite songs of all time, really. And I should have just stuck with it, but it's intimidating, and I think that's something I've learned, to really follow your heart, and that's so important. But it's intimidating when you go into the room for the first time and you meet the mentor and you do the first mentor session with Jamie Iovine, because you don't know like where you stand, how much your opinion can like cross over into what's actually going to happen.
You'd never steer me wrong, right?
These are people that you look up to for advice, and these are the pros, so of course you want to take their advice. So when they were saying, you know, you shouldn't do this song, let's pick another one for you, I listened. I'm not saying they were wrong or anything like that, I just think I know what I could sing well, and I should have stuck to my gut. I really didn't feel at the end of the day that I did a bad performance on that song. I think maybe I didn't sing with as much conviction when the song started.
I'm your baby tonight.
mainly because the song's kind of implying like a one-night stand kind of deal, and I just didn't feel like I was connected with that.
Right. Going into Top 13 week, you seemed like a definite front runner. Like, there's no way she's not going to make tour. And then you had a couple of weeks, bam, bam, where you're in the bottom 3. It's almost like in the music business, 20 is the new 30. It gets younger and younger progressively to try and, you know, get that major label deal and to get that radio play. Yeah. Is that something that's in the back of your mind as this process is going on?
It is like that for I think more for like a pop star, you know, and I guess that is kind of the angle that it seems like American Idol has taken people on, like country pop or pop. But I think for me, it's just, I have a different voice, you know, I have a different sound, and I don't fit into that mold necessarily. I think that age is a plus, and, you know, it could also maybe hurt the voting as well. I just always just kept saying to myself, whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. You know, and it's really out of my hands, and, you know, may the most successful person be the most successful, you know?
Right. That was also around the time that you started tweeting photos of yourself smiling on a daily basis, because people said you weren't handling your bottom 3 experiences.
You're in the bottom 3 girls tonight.
The second week when I got negative feedback, my head really got in the way, and I was like, I'm being set up. You know, I just thought like crazy things, and that's not even true. It was just that my head was getting in the way.
You were boxing with the song.
You know, I just had to learn how to adjust to whatever's gonna be thrown at me. And that was a good lesson. So I went and sat in the chairs of doom the next day, and that was upsetting. And I was like, what, like, why is this happening? I was almost mad at myself. How could I let this happen? I didn't do something right. What can I do better next week? And that's what the show's about, like being in competition with yourself more than anything else. So I learned that the hard way, and then, and then I kind of bounced back, and then, you know, it was just a very up and down ride, and I think most of it was me trying to balance everything out and not let myself get stuck in my head.
You needed a big moment after that, and Vienna came kind of at the perfect time and place. I thought it was one of the best moments of the season.
I love that song.
Maybe put it in the top 5 moments of the season?
I had a couple weeks there where that Whitney Houston week kind of got to me, and it made me upset. I couldn't shake it because I knew it was my first impression. You know, one of the first impressions for America. Great, now that's like the taste people have in their mouth, you know? Yeah. And I just needed to shake it off, and it was just taking me too long to do. But anyway, when I sang Vienna, my students came, and seeing them in the audience, knowing they were there, gave me my strength back and just reminded me who I was and why I'm here. So I think that's why that really ended up so well.
You better cool it off before you burn it out.
Talk a little bit about the arrangement of that song and how you approached the vocal. There were parts of it that were almost like jazzy or Middle Eastern-y. I don't know how to describe it, but those runs with the hand and everything happening.
I'll learn a song, and then as the song sits with me and I'm comfortable with it, I'll hear these things in my head, or sometimes I just do them and they're not even planned. That one, I was messing around on Sunday before the show, and I was just, and I was like, ooh, that sounds really cool. Maybe I should plan a nice run that I'm gonna do. Because most of the time when I do them, they just come out.
Okay.
Yeah, actually I was saying it for Josh, and he's like, you need to do that. And I was like, I'm gonna do that. I wanted it to be slightly unexpected, and I wanted it to fall right into the chord progression that ended the song. So I wanted it to be smooth, but surprising. And I think it worked.
It was kind of a great bookend with Whole Lotta Love. I thought that was kind of your period of the season that you were dominating. Were you at all concerned about tackling Whole Lotta Love?
No one really understood why I wanted to do it. Mainly because I hadn't sung a song like that yet, so they just couldn't imagine it. I was like, no, you'll see, you'll see. And it was the most successful one I've had.
Were you at all aware that Adam Lambert had covered it in season 8 and it was a big moment for him?
I never saw that, so I don't know. I mean, some people mentioned it to me. And then I heard later that Haley did I'm Your Baby Tonight. After I did it, you know, I looked it up on YouTube, and everybody's like, Haley was better, Haley was better. And I'm like, why is everyone comparing me to her? She's not even on the show. And then I realized she had done it too.
They want to know that you feel things, that you're a person.
When she said that, after all the other stuff, you know, in the weeks before and all the bottom 3, I was just like, You know, that was just crossing the line a little bit.